first thing to do is not panic, because actually this is completely achievable and there are lots of tools out there that allow us to do this. They don't cost the earth, they're not going to financially bankrupt you, and also I kind of like Homer Simpson as well, so why not? So as mentioned, we can have control, and what we're working with right now is considering how brands bring micro moments together. So a micro moment is actually thinking about all of the different devices out there. So whether you're on your phone, your tablet, or your desktop, or wherever else it might be, we're actually looking at different things at different times, and there are different reasons that impact that. So where we believe that data can come in really handy is actually thinking about the environment and the time and the situation that someone might be in. So if I'm walking down the high street and I'm on my phone, and I know as a brand what phone that might be, and maybe I'm logged into a session, whatever it might be, I can then start to identify that person and actually what they are doing and what they're looking for. So using an example of maybe I'm an e-commerce website, something like made.com, which will rely heavily on online sales, they will be able to start to think of, in that situation, the contextual understanding of where that person is, what they're doing, what they're interested in, where they've been, and also where they've come from. So what we're trying to do as an agency is help our clients actually open their minds and understand it isn't a case of just thinking about, oh, I need to do something on Facebook, I need to do something on email. It's how you bring all of that together. And micro moments are really quite challenging for brands, because the real problem we have is actually not everyone is able to consider where all these different people are coming from. They might rely too heavily on Google Analytics, like Johnny said, and that's something that we're trying to move away from and actually bring in other data to feed into those channels. I mean, this is the biggest buzzword of all, omni-channel, but it's so important right now. And I have an example later of a tool that really does actually bring all of this together. Aberdeen Group claims that companies with the strongest omni-channel experience actually have the best retention of their customers. So what the key thing here is actually retaining customers is much cheaper than bringing in new customers. Going out, new business strategies, they're expensive, they're time consuming, they increase your marketing budgets. And what that does is for you guys as a business, it makes you might need to employ more people, and it makes the whole situation much more challenging. But retaining customers means they're also more loyal. So loyal customers will be brand advocates, and brand advocates, as you know, will go out there and they'll kind of sing and say amazing things about your brand. But lots of companies don't actually have an omni-channel strategy, or they don't know what it is. So, very small definition at the bottom, because I assume hopefully most of you know what an omni-channel strategy is, but it's a cross-channel strategy that looks at all of the different channels and devices that you're using as a business and how you can analyze all of those better. So customer skills are really important, actually thinking about how someone will come to you as a brand. How do they find out about you? And then when they do find out about you, what do they do when they get to you? So is that a case of them coming onto your website? Let's use that as an example. So when someone hits your website, how do you make sure that you convert them into a customer? So is there a case of that you are testing different types of content or messages on your website so that you know that this will appeal to this group of people, but this will appeal to this group of people? There are lots of tools out there in the market that allow you to do A/B testing. And I'm sure many of you have tried this before, but the most important thing before you do that is actually planning the strategy behind it. So you need to be able to identify what type of customer you're trying to attract to your business, and where they live, the environment that they're in. So if it's a digital environment, are they spending more time on social media? Are they spending more time in search? Are they spending more time responding to their emails? So email data, as Johnny mentioned, is really important, because actually that's when you're getting directly in front of someone and you're paying much less to be able to do that. But aligning that customer experience is really important, because if you can't actually have the data available from the planning and reach stage, you're never actually going to get to the conversion stage at the end, as where you as a business will actually make money. So the buying engagement cycles, as mentioned, are really important, but customers get really, really frustrated if they can't either find what they're looking for, or they're getting marketed to in a way that is of no interest to them. So lots of customers think brands actually need to put in more effort into actually reaching the right type of people. So how can a brand that has no idea about their customers market to them? It's a case of just being very big, very bold, and thinking, oh God, I'm just going to put out a message to everyone. It's basically going on to Facebook, creating an ad, for example, that you target everybody and anybody, and you spend a lot of money, but actually your response is really bad. So data will allow you to actually have a more in-depth understanding of your customers, and be more detailed in terms of your targeting, and something that we're working more towards as an agency. So being in that real-time environment, thinking, I know who my customers are, and I can create one-to-one actual conversations, communications with those people based on what I know about them. And obviously you need to learn about them first. So if you have no data on your customers, this isn't going to be possible. But you actually have to think about what you want to know and how you're going to learn it. I promise there's not going to be that many gifts. What are the buying engagement cycles? So there are brands out there that are already thinking about the future. So this example, which I am going to show you if the Wi-Fi works, because it's really bad here, is Peugeot. So you may have come across this. If you haven't, that's great, because it's their VR experience that looks at new ways to connect the consumer to the showroom without going there. Starbucks have also done something interesting recently with how they are building their mobile and customer experience. So skip the queue, happy you. So I don't know how many of you here use Starbucks, but you know, every now and again you go in, wherever you might be, maybe in a city, queues. None of us like queues. We're British, you know, we get frustrated very easily. So a queue is something we want to avoid, and we live in a world now of Deliveroo, Uber, everything is now, we want it now. So now you can order your coffee, go in, pick it up, and get on with your day, basically. The client that I work with, they came to us just over 2 years ago now, and they were a startup, and I was like, oh God, no money, no idea what they're going to do. They wanted an entire marketing strategy, but actually, after investigating their solution more, which is it's essentially a big data platform that analyzes what customers do online, completely fascinated by what they do, and they have completely transformed, particularly the fintech sector. So they have won major accounts within banks, Barclays, Bank of America, which we've helped them get through to those stages by communicating what they do well. But now we are even looking at how we can use their software with our own clients, because what this software does is it looks at what consumers are doing on a website, the challenges that they're facing, and then analysing what we can do to improve that website experience. But it isn't just website, it's apps and it's mobile experiences. So it's completely transforming that space. So what it does is it looks at all of the individual sessions that people are coming from on a website. So whether the browser that they're coming from, and everything they're doing. And it's a little bit hard to see. But what we can do is actually then start searching for individual experiences. So what this will do is it will narrow down to the individual and actually look at where they've come from, what they've done on the site, and then we can look for real-time problems. So a real-time problem might be someone comes on and starts filling out a form. Maybe they have a surname that has an initial on it or something like that that allows them not to be able to enter the details. So the example we have here is Verizon, and looking at what people do on their website. So when they go to the website, they start looking around their individual pages, the products that they're looking at. And what you can see here on the left-hand side is actually the data that's being collated in the background. So if someone is coming on the website, they're clicking through into the smartphones page. But let's say one of these people may have had a problem somewhere along the journey, because that happens. We experience problems online. So if the problem might be that they're trying to buy an iPhone 6S and they can't actually complete that purchase for some reason. So it's very, very focused on kind of the checkout stage, the optimization of forms on a website, and the data that's being recorded. So what this solution has done is basically, if you face an issue on a website, the first thing you're probably going to do is either look for a live chat, or you're going to look for a phone number to call that business. So when you call that business, you are then costing them money. They're going to have a call center. So someone like Verizon are going to have call centers of thousands of people globally. You're going to enter into that call center and you're going to meet and you're going to have a conversation with one of those people. That person, if they spend, I don't know, 10 minutes on the phone with you, that 10 minutes is money for that business. But what this solution does do is it will replay that session. So everything you're seeing now is being replayed to the person in the call center, and that will then allow them to solve the issue that you are having instantly. So what that does is it halves the time that people are spending on the phone. It reduces costs for call centers. It improves efficiency, and it completely changes the way that people are interacting. Because if that solution, that issue is solved very quickly, then people are going to be happier with that brand and they're going to feel much better about that experience. So everything you're seeing now is being recorded, and no personal data is stored. Glassbox is deployed within, usually on premise, because financial sectors, usually it's more secure to do that. But what they've been able to do is completely transform that sector and allow brands to change their websites, their apps, to make sure that experience is better and solve things much quicker. They're saving a lot of money, and they've had millions invested in their company because they are using data, and VCs can see what they're doing to change that space. So the reason why I love this so much is because what it's doing, I know you won't be able to hear it slightly, what it's doing is bringing that experience to life a bit more. So you can do things like actually hear the engine of the car. You can switch on the lights. You can beep the horn. You can go inside the car. You can spin around in a 360-degree way. And if you had a pair of VR devices right now, like Google Cardboard or Samsung Gear, you would actually be able to experience what it would be like to be there looking at that car right now. And I think Peugeot and other brands have done this. They don't expect you to actually buy the car instantly, but as I said, it will get you to the showroom. So it's because of time, I won't go too much into it, but so I can flip around, I can look what it's like, I can see how to experience what the car looks like, not do that. And this is where brands are kind of moving now into a space where they have to consider the younger generation, I suppose, in terms of what they're looking for from their customer experience. And this is where someone like Glassbox comes in really well, and that's why they have such a strong position in the marketplace, is that they have seen, for example, brands like IBM, who had a solution very similar to this. These guys have come in and disrupted that now because they are completely taking over from IBM, and they're winning accounts that realistically they shouldn't be winning because they are so significant. They're taking IBM away from someone like Bank of America because their solution is so much more innovative, it's nimble, and it's easy to deploy. So they really understand that space. Looking at kind of the data that Google provides, which isn't terribly impressive, but if you look at Google Trends, and this is something that we are particularly interested in, we work with a lot of tourism and holiday based clients. So if you look at the data here, it kind of is similar, pretty much over the course of a couple of years. So what we can see is it's seasonal, obviously, but an interesting thing that we found here was that actually during the second week into the July summer holidays, parents seemed to be getting pretty fed up. And they were looking to book a holiday. So they were going on and they were searching for last minute holidays, even though they've already been away for 2 weeks. We hadn't thought about that. We thought, oh God, people must book weeks in advance. So suddenly we start to think, wow, we need to react to that. And we need to think, actually, people aren't booking holidays 6 weeks before. Sometimes they're booking holidays literally on the day or a couple of weeks before. So by using this kind of data, we can actually increase sales and revenue for those companies. There are tools available out there. So something like Glassbox is pretty enterprise level, but there are tools like Optimizely, which I'm sure many of you have come across before, that allow you to basically create experiences online where you can test how people respond to something, A/B testing basically. But A/B testing is now evolved into thinking about, oh, I'm just going to try this message or this message. It's about creating different experiences and analysing how people respond to those. So if you think of the example here, if I was to slide left, I would see a completely different screen to if I was to slide right. But I would see something different maybe to you based on my preferences, my interests, if I'd logged in, my previous shopping history, all of that kind of thing. So you have to really think about what works for your customers. So your customers are going to be interested in various different things. They're going to be responding to different things. And what this does, again, is it strengthens the customer experience because it shows that you've actually invested in what they're looking for and what's going to create a sale, I suppose. So this one's a bit of fun. So Domino's now have a chatbot. And what that does is it means you can order Domino's through Facebook. So we were testing it the other day, and we thought, oh, God, this is really fun. I'm quite hungry. Why not? Let's have some Domino's. But what actually happens as you get further down the line is actually it's a bit of a pain in the arse because what it's doing is it's just actually challenging me further because it's asking me lots and lots and lots of little questions, and therefore my time is becoming less and less and less. And they want my number, they want all my details. But then something like, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. And actually all we were doing is just responding with 1 or 2 word answers. So point being is we're moving into this digital world where we use chatbots and data and all sorts of different devices. But actually, if it doesn't work, it actually provides a worse experience than we had before even bringing that into place. And then in Toronto, Ben & Jerry's launched Dough to Door, where they did something similar, where you could order all sorts of different types of ice creams to your door. And I suppose it's kind of jumping into this whole Deliveroo world or Uber Eats, where things are at a touch of a button, we can order them, they come to our home. So it's convenience. And even McDonald's are now looking at ways that they can bring home delivery to us. And Burger King already do it through Deliveroo. So basically, if all of this happens, then we're all probably going to be quite fat. And we're just going to never have to leave the house because everything's going to come to us. But what these brands can do is actually analyze what we have done within all of these different experiences. So they will be able to know that we got to this error stage here, and hopefully in time they'll be able to resolve that. So looking at the future of customer moments, so Google Home, I'll show you in a second, but by 2020, 50% of web searches will be conducted by voice. So it's thinking about, I suppose, how a brand can actually have a voice experience and think about who should be that? Who should be your voice experience as a brand? So if we look at this example, which still absolutely fascinates me, again, it's probably not going to work because I'm so terribly unlucky with technology, ironically. Can anyone say ABBA? I'm just like, is it me? Oh, come on, please work, because it's actually really, really interesting. Okay. Oh, have I got it wrong, Sarah? Oh, okay.
Okay, Google, what's my day like?
Hello, Bryson. The time is 7:44 a.m. The weather in Park Ridge currently is 21 degrees and sunny, with a high of 37 degrees.
Wait for it.
Your commute to work is currently 39 minutes by public transit. By the way, Disney's live-action Beauty and the Beast opens today.
We're now advertising through voice. And the kids in the background are completely excited about it. So this is our future. Brands are going to be completely advertising through devices like Google Home, Amazon Echo, and things like that. And I went to a talk recently, a tech talk, where we looked at the future of Amazon Echo. So they gave an example that actually I would come home from the end of my day, and I would talk about, I would talk to the device as if it known what I'd done for that day. So hi Alexa, how was your day? Alexa responds, I've had a good day. How was your day? And then she starts to talk about, oh, I know you've got a doctor's appointment this Thursday, but also the car needs an MOT because the car's already talked to Amazon Echo. And, oh, do you want me to book that in? Oh, yeah, that's absolutely fine. Oh, but you know that you've got the doctor's appointment. What about the kids? We need to pick them up from school. Do you want me to send the car to do that? Because the car is obviously going to be connected in the future. And then, you know, he responds, oh yeah, but make sure you don't stop at the sweet shop again because I know what you did last time. So in the future, you know, all of this is completely possible, and we have to make sure that we own that customer experience before we get to that stage. So if it's a voice operator thing, how do we make sure that our brand is reflected through that? So that is me, and I'm now going to hand over to Tom from Stephen the Scout, and I hope you enjoy. So thank you.